Diddy, you not guilty. Diddy, Jigga, not guilty. I got all of my mommy.
Fortunate to have avoided both the trafficking and the RICO allegations. Though they are still serious crimes, the 2 counts of prostitution he was found guilty of involving Cassie and Jane Doe are not as serious as the RICO and the trafficking currently. On this one, the prosecution did make a mistake. I believe they attempted to make something stick that did not quite work, and the RICO accusation was one of those attempts. Now, the prosecution is arguing that he conspired. His company has a network of individuals who engage in kidnapping, arson, bribery, and forced labor transportation to engage in prostitution, trafficking, witness tampering, and possession with intent to distribute controlled substances, and I will admit that I believe the prosecution provided numerous evidence to support their allegations against Diddy. For example, he bribed the Intercontinental Hotel. He paid them off $100,000 to prevent that footage of him beating down Cassie from coming out. Furthermore, in regards to the arson allegations, did he allegedly have Child Cuddy's car blown up after learning that the child was playing with Cassie? And Cassie did say in an email sent to Diddy's assistant Capricorn Clark that Diddy planned to hurt her and Kid Cudi, but he would leave the country when it happened. He was also responsible for the kidnapping of Diddy's assistant Capricorn Clark, who claimed to have come to her apartment after learning that Cassie was playing with Child Cudi, forced her out, and intimidated her with a gun in his hand. It just so happened that Child Cudi's car blew up. He told her to get dressed. We're going to off Kid Cudi, and when she said she didn't want to go, he said, "I don't give an F what you want." According to reports, he ejected her against her will. That sounded to me like a case of kidnapping. Not to mention that Diddy had a lot of illegal substances and was involved in the distribution of controlled substances. I believe the prosecutors used these examples to support the RICO charge against him because he used these substances for his freak-offs, and they were also giving them to some of the escorts. However, the jury was not persuaded that he was operating a criminal enterprise, even though Diddy was undoubtedly committing some crimes. The Bad Boy Enterprise is a music and entertainment company. It is not a business that receives funding from illegal means. Additionally, Diddy was being charged with trafficking by the prosecution. He was charged with 2 counts of trafficking against his former girlfriends Cassie and Jane Doe, who many people think is 50 Cent's baby mama Daphne Joy. However, the prosecution contended that Diddy trafficked these women through force and threats of force and fraud and coercion, and I do believe Cassie's case was well made by the prosecution, despite the fact that she appeared to agree to the freak ops, which, for those who are unaware, are when Diddy would actually pay for prostitutes to enter and have S with Cassie while recording them. Even though Cassie appeared to have agreed to it in order to appease Diddy, those were the freak operations. For the most part, she did not always want to do it. In addition to being drugged up during these freak ops, she was signed to Diddy, thus her career and means of subsistence were in his hands. She thought that she could not release music if she did not participate in the freak ops. Additionally, Diddy coerced her into doing what he wanted by using force and violence. I mean, he assaulted her. We have seen it on camera several times, not to mention, in addition to extorting her own mother, he threatened to disclose intimate films of her as a form of blackmail. I thought there was a lot of coercion going on there, but Diddy's defense team was able to effectively demonstrate that these bizarre operations were not trafficking. Therefore, the prosecution could not persuade the jury that Cassie was in fact being trafficked. These were only adult-to-adult consenting behaviors, and they demonstrated that Cassie organized and planned many of the freak ops. Of course, with Diddy's guidance, but you know they presented it as though Cassie was the one who planned everything. As for the Jane Doe witness, I did not think her evidence was particularly strong for the prosecution's case because she was a willing participant in the freak operations because Diddy was paying her expenses, so in some ways that made her culpable. Therefore, she is also not considered a victim of human trafficking. He was only found guilty of transporting people to engage in prostitution, which applies to both Cassie and Jane Doe, since Diddy was undoubtedly paying for and flying out escorts to do freak ops with his girlfriends while he watched from the sidelines. We know that he is guilty as sin in this regard. Herefore, I was certain that he would be found guilty of all those counts and charges of prostitution, carry no more than 10 years. Do I believe he will spend 10 years on each of those counts though? Since he is a first-time offender, I honestly do not think he will receive much more time than that. His legal team is strong, and they are now working to have him released on bond. Additionally, I would not be shocked if they attempted to have Donald Trump pardon him. However, based on my observations of the entire situation, the prosecution truly mishandled this case. I understood their intentions, but I believe that Diddy's bizarre actions and mistreatment of women were the main points of interest. Then, what mattered most were the charges themselves. They performed a poor job of persuading the jurors, in my opinion. Additionally, it seems to me that the prosecution did not investigate this matter as thoroughly as they could have. However, I saw that they were genuinely attempting to avoid bringing other celebrities into the picture. That is what I saw. They wanted to get Diddy and were very careful not to do that, but I believe their efforts fell a little flat. Therefore, even though things are how they are, Diddy is still a truly awful person. He has committed some heinous crimes and escaped, but you know what? That doesn't even matter to certain individuals. They are simply happy that they believe Diddy defeated the federal government. His relatives grinned as they walked out of the courthouse. Since Diddy is their loved one, I am sure they are overjoyed. I do not blame them for their happiness, but Ray J's celebration baffled me.
Diddy, you not guilty. Diddy, Jigga, not guilty. I got all of my mommy.
However, I did recall what Shoegay Knight had stated. He said that Diddy's boyfriend was Ray J.
Ray J and Puffy definitely were lovers.
Ray J.
I said Ray J and Puffy was lovers.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that well known?
Of course.
J. Lil Boozy was rejoicing about Diddy's decision as well.
Man, I'm so glad Diddy free, bro. The reason is because I'm tired of seeing us black moguls get took down like that, bro. And I'm tired of seeing us black people go against us black moguls like that. If he was white, they had so many white people out there protesting for this man.
That is untrue. When Harvey Weinstein was imprisoned, no one was demonstrating in support of him. Come on, to be honest, race should not be a factor in this. Someone should be held responsible if they are committing crimes and harming others. Young Miami, Diddy's second girlfriend, also responded to the decision. She shared this meme of Justin Bieber using his hands to do the clock it signal. Additionally, it appeared as though she was praying for X because she stated on 111 God, please. After the verdict was announced, she put 111 with heart emojis. She is most likely pleased that Diddy is leaving so he can keep supporting her financially and advancing her career. 50 Cent, Diddy's rival, also responded to the decision. Throughout this entire situation, 50 has been making fun of Diddy because he was upset that Diddy was having an affair with his baby mom, Daphne. However, he stated Diddy beat the RICO that boy a bad man. He liked the gay John Gotti. 50 just doesn't care. He does not give a damn. Cassie's lawyer also released a statement praising her courage for opening up the door for Diddy to be found guilty of the prostitution charges. But I don't know. I don't feel like this is really a satisfying victory. Cassie got what she wanted, I believe. She received her money after sharing her story. However, there was a price for it as well. Her reputation suffered, and perhaps her husband's opinion of her changed as a result of the case. Her life was also in jeopardy. I believe that Diddy's life and the lives of the other witnesses may be in jeopardy if she escapes. Cassie's lawyer did send a letter to the judge to try to get his bond denied. So I do think she is fearful of what could happen. Since you can never be sure, you cannot predict what Diddy would do. Since Diddy is quite fortunate to have gotten off as he did, I would assume that he would not be stupid enough to retaliate. He literally collapsed in court, and I am sure he was shocked by the decision. He is therefore extremely fortunate. People like Diddy, however, are accustomed to getting away with things, and because they have done so much, they continue to do so. Who knows, he might take revenge on Cassie and everyone else who testified.